Academy?
Well, actually, languages are very resistant to official efforts to shape them in a particular direction. There's a long history of this in English. For a long time, English grammarians thought that English should be Latin. If it doesn't work like Latin, there's something wrong with it. So children in school are taught rigorously that they're supposed to say things like, he and I arrived, instead of what every kid will say, him and me arrived. They're supposed to say, and you're supposed to say, it is I, not it is me, because that's what you would say if you were talking Latin. This is driven into children in school. They can kind of repeat it, but if nobody's paying attention, they're going to go back and say, it's me, or him and me are here, because that's the way English works. The default form in English is accusative, not nominative. What happens is that it ends up with people making all sorts of mistakes. Like you constantly hear people saying, between you and I, because you're kind of taught that where I want to say me, I'm supposed to say I. But of course, if you go back to the Latinate grammarians, in that case, it should be me. But the language somehow resists these efforts to shape it into a foreign mold invented by pedantic grammarians, things that never had anything to do with the language. There's a whole history of this. And it may have some marginal effect on the way language is used, but it can't really affect the core of the system.
For example, in English, we have the term we, right? It's all inclusive. In Spanish, we don't. If the people keep using an inclusive language, my question is, how long does it usually take for it to be as like a universally accepted within the Royal Academy?
Well, it's beginning to get into the question of why do languages change altogether? Why don't they always stay the same? And there are many factors in that. A lot of it often has to do not with language literally changing, but with the spread of dialects shifting. So one dialect that could have been more marginal sometimes gets more extensive, like the Florence dialect in Italian, which came to be mainstream Italian. There are other factors like just teenage jargon. The teenagers also always innovate quite a lot, and sometimes that gets standardized and then becomes part of it. But it's all at the pretty superficial level. The core systems just don't change.
Thank you. Thank you.